I have a theory, as somebody who's been fortunate enough to be a part of a couple television shows, though not in the realm you're in. But I have a theory that the show you are the first day you air versus the show you are a year later, even 2 years later, is so remarkably different. Because there's a settling in process that happens. So, how is the Amber Ruffin Show different than when you first started?
Well, the biggest difference is now we have an audience. And
Hmm.
before we started with zero audience, e- everyone was um lonely, but we took our time shooting everything because it didn't matter because we had all day. We didn't have to hurry for an audience. So it was a little we worried a little more, both because we were just starting out, but also because we had time to shoot it again. But now, once you do it in front of the audience, you don't want to do it again. They don't want to see it again. So you want to do it once and do it right. And then you slowly are like, you know what, I may have flubbed this or that, but it's fine. And because the audience gave you such a good energy that first time, you try harder to get it right the first time. And it's always, the first take is always the best one.
Mm.
So we
So,
almost never reshoot anything anymore.
oh wow. Well, does it feel, you spent your life performing, but does it feel weird to, or how long did it take for it to stop feeling weird to have an audience again?
It feels weird because, and now this, what I'm about to say, combined with my fear that no one was going to want to be a guest on my show, has highlighted something about me that I will have to talk about in therapy later. But having an audience there, when I walked out, I was like, oh my gosh, all these people came to see the Amber Ruffin show. That was so nice. And I thought, oh my gosh, soon this will be normal. But it's been how many ever shows, and every Friday when I walk out and I see all those people, I'm just like, I, I get goosebumps. I can't believe that all those people woke up and were like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to 30 Rockefeller Center and look at this fool tell jokes. I just think it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. That is still sparkly for me and will probably remain so for quite some time.
Well, not
Fingers
to,
crossed.
of course, I don't see why I wouldn't. And not to play your therapist, but it sounds like there's a part of you that was concerned about whether or not, people were sort of ready for you, or people. I don't want to say accept. That's too strong of a word, but it seems like there's some anxiety there around, will people like the show? Will they like me? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And also that comes from all of the other Black lady late night shows, because ain't but a few. And a lot of our shows got canceled almost immediately without getting a half of a second to get their footing. Um, so there's that. But also, I feel like I was just, I mean, I was nervous about that, but I was also just like trying to be calm about the coolest thing in the world. I always say to our other executive producer, Jenny Hagel, I always say, having a show like this is the exact same feeling of being poor, where you remember being poor and it was like, on any month, like if the car breaks down, it's over, it's done. Like, I don't know how, I guess we're sleeping in the car and the car just stays on the street. Like it's the feeling that you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. But with any that, like the second the show gets canceled, the rug gets snatched out from under us and we're like flailing. It's that it acts as that same, it activates that same thing in your brain of like this low grade constant panic. What a horrible thing to say, but having a show is great. I would like to end it there instead of constant low grade panic.
Well, but that's real though, and I don't know if this is something that is especially unique to being Black, where we feel like everything can be snatched away from us at any minute. I mean, history proves that's true. So we do have
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's quite a track record there. But it is hard for, I think, other people to explain that yes, you may be doing well, but you feel like in a minute that you wouldn't, because as you mentioned, the other canceled shows. Um, I know Robin Thede, she had a show. Obviously, Wanda Sykes had one. I don't know if I'm missing anybody, um, but have you had conversations with the other Black women who came before you about what to expect, what this will be like, those sorts of things?
Yes, there are few crews tighter than the Black Lady Late Night crew. It is because at first, when it first started, it was all of us on one little text chain, and there wasn't but 10 of us. And we'd be like, okay, so my contract says this. How is that? And Robin Thede is the friggin' leader. And she's always like, this is what you should be getting paid. This is who you talk to about that discrepancy. I know for a fact so and so is getting this. Make sure this is in your contract. Like, she is a little business baby, and I love her to pieces. And at every corner of my career, I have a phone call with her and I go, Robin, this is what is happening to me. And she goes, great. This is within the realm of normal, or blah, 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 blah. She really, I mean, she absolutely did not miss her calling. But should anything go wrong, she could represent all Black female comedians for sure.
So you had a very interesting path in comedy in terms of where you have done comedy. You've done it in the Netherlands, you did it in Chicago, obviously you've been in New York. I'm particularly interested in the Netherlands. What was it like doing comedy there?
Buddy, it was the best. Living in Holland was the absolute best. It was great because, it was before, I almost want to say before consequences. Like, we were out there acting insane. No one will ever know. No one will ever see a crazy video of us being bad. We were just out there in the streets. And in Amsterdam, like, that theater we were at was kind of on the light supply, and it was in the center of the city, and it was like clubs and fun bars and stuff, and we were just out. Like, we would also, please notice how I'm not talking about the job at all. The job was excellent. It was excellent, but the parties, dude, and like the theater itself would turn into a giant club like 4 times a year and throw like a party with hundreds of people, and it would be the literal best time of your life. It was so much fun, and they really made having fun a part of it, because they wanted you to get to Amsterdam and feel like a cool party dude. And it was so odd for them to focus their energy on that, but they did, and it worked. And now when I look back, Amsterdam is this magical time where I was a wild party baby. Great.
So I guess the job was okay, or
That was great. The job really was good. That job was like comedy basic training, because I was 23 when I got that job. And, I hadn't done many shows at all. So everything I learned from an audience, I learned there. And no one's first language was English. So you're looking out at 300 people, but no one's first language is English. So everything you say has to be over enunciated, and you have to talk a little slower than you normally. It was nuts, but it came in handy everywhere you go. Like, I can make myself understood anywhere with anyone about anything, because we had to. It was great. It was a great experience. I recommend it. If you get a chance to work at Boom Chicago, you got to take it. It's so much fun.
So how were their comic sensibilities different than what you experienced in the States?
I think Dutch people have a have the widest, and I stand by this, the widest sense of humor, because they speak English, so they love British comedy. So they speak English well enough to get puns and like language-based comedy. And then they like the broader French comedy that's like Jerry Lewis, goofy faces, and like Lucille Ball type of stuff. And then they also like, Schadenfreude, the German, like, sad, depressing jokes. They like all of those things. So it's really, they are a very good audience. I don't think it's easy to miss with them. Dutch people like it all.
Mm. So, at what point did you realize it's one thing to have a dream to do something. It's another realization when you say, "Hey, I actually think I can make money at this." At what point did you realize that this is something that you could do that would sustain you?
I always thought that from the second I got Boom Chicago back in whenever that was, 2004, 3, I was like, this is what I'm going to do forever. And there's always going to be room for me. And once they don't want to look at me on stage anymore, I'll just teach it. And now I have a skill. I can keep it forever, and I can be, you know, old lady with a cane, you know, sitting in the audience of a theater going, do it again, but perfect, you know, like that. So I've always, from that moment, I was like, ooh, I think I'm employed for good.
Mm. So you never did you never had a backup plan like as in another career. You're always like, I will teach this even if I can't do this myself. So you never considered any other possible career.
Um, Thank you for acting as though I had an option. I did not. Uh, I never went to college. I never had any other skill set. Oh, I coached gymnastics. I guess I could have coached gymnastics. That's real. I did. I did used to coach gymnastics.
Wow, there's one I didn't see coming.
I did. Yeah.
Amazing.